This is the ultimate base on the Starfall SMP. It's not just any base, it's a fortress of farms and power, for fully automated gold, iron and wood. From villagers offering the best trades, this base has everything imaginable. And if that wasn't enough, it even holds a secret farm capable of granting players with a second life. This is the story of how the ultimate base came to be. The journey began as chaos unfolded, everyone spawning in all at once, scrambling to find safety. I wasted no time sprinting off into the wild to escape the chaos and start building the base. Armed with stone tools, I set out to tackle the world, quickly scoring a trident from a drowned and some loot from a ruined portal and a nearby village. My travels eventually led me to a massive custom village, unlike anything I've ever seen before. The towering buildings had heaps of treasure, but most of them were empty. Still, I managed to walk away with something quite valuable, a stack of books and a bed. Leaving the village behind, I stumbled upon a nearby cave that was full of mobs, but it was rich in iron and coal. So I set my bed down to secure my respawn point. As I mined, disaster struck. Guard Craft streamed sniped my coordinates, tracked me down and stole my bed. I was left stranded in this hostile cave surrounded by deadly mobs with no way to escape. Eventually, after surviving the onslaught and gathering enough iron for half a set of armor, I escaped the cave and took to the seas. Navigating across the endless waves, I eventually found refuge in a mesa biome, where I logged off for the night, ready to face whatever challenges awaited me tomorrow. When I logged back in the next day, I was determined to make progress. I found a cave and mined until I had a full set of iron armor, along with a good stash of lapis for future enchanting. Feeling more prepared, I continued my journey until I stumbled upon a stunning lagoon. It was the perfect spot for a base, complete with a pillager outpost and a village nearby. This wasn't just a good find, it was prime real estate. I picked out the ideal spot and began digging, carving out a large tunnel that I planned to fill with villagers on either side, with a particular base design in mind. I headed to the nearby village where I carefully wrangled 2 villagers, and these 2 would be the foundation for both my trading hall and their iron farm. The work didn't stop there. I spent time gathering dirt, shearing sheep, and mining out even more space in the base to sustain myself. I set up a small crop farm which quickly became a reliable source of food. With every step, the base was beginning to take shape and my plans for domination over the Starfall SMP were starting to come together. Next, I set off on a mining expedition, hoping to strike diamonds. While digging deep underground, I stumbled upon not one but 2 spawners, a skeleton one and a spider one, located surprisingly close to each other. Recognizing this wonderful opportunity, I spent some time clearing the area and constructing a dual mob grinder. With it, I had a steady supply of bones, arrows, and string, making it a project well worth the effort. After wrapping up the grinder, I returned to the surface and headed to a grassy area. There I started breeding sheep and regularly shearing them for their wool. Meanwhile, I mined gravel to collect flint, both essential resources for my next main project, the iron farm. To bring the farm to life, I'll need 20 beds for the village and 20 fletching tables, so every bit of wool and flint was crucial. With each task, I inched and inched, slowly and surely closer to building a base that would make me unstoppable. With plans to kickstart the iron farm and set up trading villages, I began to breed the villagers, but I quickly hit a major roadblock. Villager breeding had been disabled. This unexpected twist forced me to shift gears and find something else to focus on. Determined not to waste any time, I decided to form a team. As we pooled our efforts, one of my teammates made an incredible discovery. Amethyst armor, nearly as strong as diamond. It was a game changer. Excited by the prospect, I set off to a nearby cave in search of amethyst geodes. After some exploration, I found one. Carefully, I mined out the geode while leaving the budding amethyst still intact, ensuring a renewable source of amethyst shards. After some time spent AFKing, I returned with a few stacks of shards back at the base. I shared the shards with my teammates and soon we were all decked out in shiny amethyst armor. With this new gear, our team was ready to take on anything the Starfall SMP could throw at us. Next on my list was a gold farm. I set my sights on building it and began mining out a massive area to bring the project to life. It was a grind, but just as I was making progress, I received great news. Villager breeding had been re-enabled. Wasting no time, I bred enough villagers to kickstart the iron farm, knowing it was only a matter of time before it began producing results. With that settled, I returned my focus to the gold farm. After clearing out a huge area, I started constructing the farm's key components. It consists of big portals and a lighting system. Everything seemed to be going smoothly until I fired up the farm. That's when I realized that I built the chutes that the pigmen go in on the wrong side. Frustrated but determined, I grabbed my tools and mined out even more space to fix the issue. Once corrected, I added a trident killer and a storage system. While it wasn't fully automated yet, the farm was operational. Watching the gold flow in felt like a victory, and I knew this farm would soon become one of the most valuable assets on the Starfall SMP. With the gold farm complete, I set my sights on an even more ambitious project, a raid farm. This would be a game changer for both me and my team, supplying us with emeralds for trading, enchanted books to upgrade our gear, and most importantly, totems of undying. I began by heading to the nearby pillager outpost to prepare the site. First, I removed the top of the outpost and blocked off some key spawn spots to ensure the farm would function smoothly. Then I constructed a chute designed to funnel pillager captains from the top of the outpost to their doom. This setup would allow me to farm ominous bottles really easily. With that in place, I moved on to the main raid spawn chamber and its corresponding chute, carefully building out the farm's core mechanics. Once the structure was complete, I added the finishing touches, a trident killer and a villager to trigger the raids. When everything was ready, I fired up the farm. The results were incredible. In no time, my team and I were swimming in emeralds, redstone and totems. The raid farm had become a powerhouse of resources, solidifying our dominance over the whole SMP. With all the progress we'd made, it was clear that my makeshift chest monster was no longer cutting it. Items were scattered everywhere and finding anything was a nightmare. It was time for a change. I decided to build a proper storage area, whipping it up real quick, but efficiently. I created a storage room that was not only organised but also fit perfectly into the base's growing aesthetic. Finally, everything had its place, making managing resources so much easier as we continued to dominate the server. By now, we were well equipped with gear, totems, golden apples and carrots. The only thing we were really missing was potions. So to fix that, I ventured into the nether to build a blaze farm. The project was anything but easy. As I worked to construct the farm, blazes constantly bombarded me, knocking me off the fortress and forcing me to regroup. Despite the relentless attacks, I pushed through and eventually finished the blaze farm. The reward was worth it. I quickly collected many stacks of blaze rods. However, there was still one critical ingredient missing: nether wart. I searched the fortresses thoroughly, but there was none to be found. Determined, I set off for a second fortress. Along the way, my luck began to turn. I managed to secure another wither skull and even found a rare rib armor trim, but still no nether wart. Frustrated but undeterred, I moved on to a third fortress. On the way, I stumbled into a warped forest biome where I stopped to hunt endermen, gathering ender pearls for future adventures. Finally, at the third fortress, my persistence had paid off. Not only did I find the nether wart that I needed in a chest, but I also scored yet another wither skull, enough to summon the wither itself. Feeling victorious, I grabbed some soul sand before leaving the nether and headed back. With all the ingredients in hand, I was ready to start brewing potions and take our preparations to the next level. With everything I needed for brewing potions finally in hand, it was time to get to work. I dug out a small area to set up my brewing station and planted the limited nether wart I had. To keep things organised, I crafted up a small area of chests to hold strength, fire resistance, and other potion supplies. Next, I built 5 brewing stands and got to work. It didn't take long before I had over a double chest filled with strength potions, enough to supply our entire team. With these potions ready, we're now more prepared than ever to take on any fights. The next farm on my list was a bamboo and sugarcane farm, designed to produce the team with an endless supply of wood and paper, and eventually rockets. To start, I dug out a large area and began constructing the farm. I built up 4 bamboo farm modules, each connected to auto crafters for infinite wood, ensuring we'd never run out of building materials ever again. Next, I focused on the sugarcane farm, setting up a single module to supply us with all the paper we'd ever need. With these 2 farms, we would have a reliable source of both wood and paper for everything from trading to crafting. With the team grown to 12 members, it was clear the gold farm needed an upgrade. The current setup with just 2 portals wasn't producing enough gold to meet our needs. Seeing as there was now 12 of us on the team, determined to expand, I set out to find a lava lake and began mining up 3 more stacks of obsidian. Once I returned to base with all the obsidian in hand, I quickly dug out a space for 2 new portals and started building them. But there was one major problem. I couldn't finish the portals without powdered snow, which was essential for breaking the portals and essentially spawning in the pigmen. Not wasting any time, I hopped in a boat and set off in search of a snowy mountain biome. After some exploration, I finally found the powdered snow that I needed. With the materials in hand, I returned to the base, wired up the new portals, and expanded the storage to accommodate the massive influx of resources we had. At this point, we had around 30 double chests of rotten flesh, a clear sign the farm was fully operational and pumping out gold at an impressive rate. And with that, our base had become the strongest on the server. While I was busy building up the farms, my teammates had been hard at work, gathering every useful villager we could possibly need, including 3 mending villagers. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this journey, and if you did, be sure to subscribe and leave a comment with your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you think and what you'd like to see next. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.